Hey everybody, Rory from ANSgear. We're going to take a look at the Vanquish 1.5 upgrade, what parts come with it for the upgrade and what they replace and what they do for you. So in front of me we've got a Vanquish and we've got the parts. We've got new parts and old parts. We've got our old bolt assembly, we've got our old eye covers and detents, and here we have our new bolt guide, two new bolts, our new detents, and new eye covers. From the outside, it's not going to look any different. The outside eye covers are a dust black. The original ones were polished, but the new ones are dust. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with the eyes. So we'll take this eye cover off and we'll show you what is different and what is the same. So here's our eye cover right there. They still have the screw that slides into the side or into the eye. And that's what's going to hold the eye cover in place. The detent is really what's different. The detent now is a plastic or Delrin on a spring. If I take this one out, you can see right there. It's a nubbin on a spring. If we look at the old one, this has been replaced out of a gun that was in use already, or it was had this installed from factory. You can see that one there, it's actually bent. The detent is kind of leaning over to the side. And this happens because when the Vanquish is just sitting and it's not being used, the bolt is always in a forward position. If you look inside the gun right now, you can see that the bolt is actually right in there. And it is actually, if I can push it back with my fingers here, you can see me pushing it like that. Because there's no gas in the bolt isn't going to retract. So it is always touching the detent in the non-gassed up position. The old detents, since the bolt was always riding on them and pushing, they always bent down. That's what they tell you for this gun. They said, remove your bolt when you're not using it, because it actually just crushes your detent and they lose the ability to work properly. So the new eye cover supports the new style detent inside there. Now when the bolt rides forward, it just pushes the detent down over and over and over again. So the detent will never lose its ability to come into the breech and hold the paintballs back. So that's the difference on the eye cover and the detents. Now really that's the only difference on the outside, or accessible on the outside. All the other differences are in the bolt itself. So let's go ahead and take the bolt out. You can see what we've got here. So here's our Vanquish Bolt. This one already has the upgrades installed in it. So we'll go ahead and split this open and pull this out. Right. So really the differences, the main differences were in the guide, the spring, and the front of the bolt. Now we'll talk about the bolts. The difference in the two bolts that I have here, original bolt, new bolt. These two bolts are the same except for the end piece. This is a anti-rollback bolt tip. It has little ridges around the outside, and what this is going to do is help when the ball drops into the breech. It had the ability with the old bolt to roll backwards and seat inside the bolt a little bit. This would allow enough room for the next ball in the stack to slightly drop into the breech. When the bolt then came forward and pushed the bolt or the ball forward, it could clip the next ball in the stack, break it open, and then you'd be chopping paint on your next shot. So this new tip is designed to help with that problem, to eliminate ball rollback and make chopping or clipping a ball less problematic. Now there's two bolts that come. This is the standard bolt. This is the soft touch bolt. On the bottom of this bolt right here, you can see kind of right there, there's a hole in the bottom. Now this is a gas vent right there. So when the bolt is moving and shuttling back and forth, it's able to vent gas out of there, letting the bolt move quicker. This bolt does not have that in it. It does not have the vent hole. So this bolt is going to actually move slower and be softer on paint. So they don't recommend shooting this bolt at high rates of fire because it just can't physically move that fast. But seeing as though most tournament and most league play is capped as far as rate of fire, I would use this bolt. There's no reason not to. You're not going to be shooting 15, 17 balls a second. Nobody shoots like that anymore. So this is the bolt I would use if I was going to set up my gun. So there's your bolt differences. Now your guide right here. On the original guide, had the large diameter spring on both ends and the spring nested on top of the bolt. What would happen over time is this sometimes wouldn't seat properly on the bolt guide, and it would get deformed, it would get pinched and crushed or scraped. So in order to eliminate that problem, what they did here is they machined the top of this one differently. It's got a little ridge on there now. So now the spring is actually tapered like a cone, and it snaps in place on the top. Now this is going to seat perfectly every time. Every time the spring compresses, it's going to be in the same spot. So you don't need to worry about this getting all crazy during compression and coming out of place. We've got that. We're going to go ahead and put our bolt back together. We'll throw it back inside of our Vanquish. Lock it down. So this has been some information on the 1.5 upgrade for the Vanquish. This comes installed in all Vanquishes sold by ANSgear.com. Get yours now at ANSgear.com.